What is the #1 paid attraction in all of Hawaii and a not miss on your next vacation to the islands? Well, stay tuned. I've got an insider secret of how you can visit all of the South Seas in just one day. Hi, I'm Larry Gelwicks, the Getaway Guru, and welcome to my travel channel. The purpose of the Getaway Guru is to help you see the world, travel more, and pay less. If you're new to the Getaway Guru, please remember the big three. Subscribe, turn on the notifications, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. When making any travel arrangements, I suggest that you use the services of a professional travel advisor. And I promise you, you're going to save money and avoid all sorts of potential problems. Well, the #1 paid attraction in all of the islands of Hawaii is where I am right now, the Polynesian Cultural Center in Laie on the north shore of the island of Oahu. You know, there's something different about Polynesia, isn't there? Robert Louis Stevenson, the famous author, whilst traveling through the South Seas in 1888, wrote this: "No other part of the world exerts the same seductive influence on the visitor." Well, I found that to be true. How can you recreate the first Polynesian sunrise or sunset? The friendliest people on earth. Well, here at the Polynesian Cultural Center, you can visit 6 island authentic villages: Hawaii, Tonga, Samoa, New Zealand, Fiji, and Tahiti. Now, I've been to all of these places, the real islands, and I got to tell you, coming here is a step back to authenticity. Well, we're going to go through the Polynesian Cultural Center. I will say that not only do you get an island experience, but they offer a luau that is just completely over the top and absolutely positively the best music and dance show, a Polynesian review, The Breath of Life, that has won every possible award for production here in Hawaii and around the world. So let's go have a look at the island villages. We'll also be taking you with me to the luau and evening show at the Polynesian Cultural Center. Dining is an important part of any vacation, isn't it? I really got to give the Polynesian Cultural Center credit for the dining experience here at the PCC. Now, for dinner, you have your choice of an ambassador buffet or the luau. Personally, I enjoyed the luau. Here at the Hale Aloha building, you can see some of the seating here. Now, in the luau, you'll have Polynesian and Hawaiian favorites, but don't worry, there are some very familiar dishes also. The centerpiece of any luau is the kalua pig, one of my favorite dishes. Now, the kalua pig it's cooked in an underground oven called an umu. Right now, it's covered by tarp just to protect it from any of the tropical rain that may breeze through Hawaii at any time. But this tarp will be removed this evening. The pig is lowered in, these hot stones cook it and steam it, and the flavor is just unbelievable. It falls off the bone, and you'll have a chance to sample kalua pig. Now, there is entertainment here at Hale Aloha during your meal in the building. After dinner, you'll proceed a short distance to the theater for the award-winning Breath of Life evening show, dance and music. So, you've got your choice of dining. My recommendation, go with the luau. Talofa lava, and welcome to the islands of Samoa. We're going to start our visit here at the Polynesian Cultural Center in Samoa. Now, each of the island villages has a cultural demonstration. They'll give you some of the history and the handicrafts. What I love about the Samoan Village is this is where we see them climbing the coconut trees and gathering coconuts. And you'll see other demonstrations like starting a fire and the history and culture of the people. So let's go head to Samoa. This is the Samoan Village. You know, Samoa is the most traditional of all the Polynesian islands. These structures that you can see are called fales. And most of the people, even today, live in an open-sided fale. Now, Samoa is really two Samoas. There's American Samoa with its capital city of Pago Pago, and Western Samoa, which is more traditional, its capital city, Apia. You know, I've traveled so many times to Samoa, always enjoyed my visits there. I have friends out in the Lefanga Matareva district on the island of Upolu. And yes, we go out, we sleep in their fale on the ground with the rest of the family, open-sided. It's a unique experience and a step back in time. Now, very shortly when the park opens, this is going to be abuzz with visitors and Samoans. This is my favorite activity right here. One of the local boys will climb up and gather the coconut. I've actually been thinking about climbing up the tree myself. Well, I gave you the native greeting of Talofa Lava, and as we say goodbye to Samoa, Ia alofa leatua imanuia tofasuifua. You want to have some fun in Samoa and a quick refreshment? Well, come and meet my friend Ata. Talofa. Talofa. You know what I like here are the ice-cold coconuts. Now, I mentioned that one of the local boys is going to climb up the tree, and this right here is what he'll bring down. But once they husk the coconut, this is what you get. Now, most people will just crack it on their head, you know, to open it up. But you'll see the Samoans, they'll get a rock and boom, boom, and it's open right there. So the coconut meat, the coconut juice, and why not get a funky hat here in Samoa? Kia ora, and welcome to Aotearoa, land of the long white cloud, as New Zealand was first known. Now, we're going to explore the New Zealand village and meet the Maoris, the indigenous people of Aotearoa. You know, I can't really say that I have a favorite village here because they all have something special and wonderful. But if you really press me, yeah, I do have kind of an affinity for Aotearoa, land of the long white cloud. Let's go take a look at the marae. The indigenous people of Aotearoa, as well as the other Polynesian islands, did not possess a written language as we know it today. Oral traditions were passed on in the form of storytelling from generation to generation, father to son. Also, they used a series of carvings, not only for genealogy or family history, but for the cultural history of the people. You'll see these carvings throughout Polynesia, especially in New Zealand, at the marae or meeting house or temple, and on family homes and structures. We're going to enter the village now. Take note of the storytelling. We've now entered the Maori marae. This is a typical pre-European home setting. Now, the marae itself is actually the courtyard. But the centerpiece of the marae or gathering area is the meeting house, which you can see right behind me. Now, every building here, every structure has a purpose and tells a story. These two buildings, the meeting house and this one just adjacent to it, the name of this one is Kupe. These are only 2 of 6 such buildings outside of New Zealand. It'll be a special visit here at the Maori Marae. Let's go inside the meeting house. We're now inside the marae, or village meeting house. This particular marae is called Hawaikiroa, in honor of one of the main ancestors. Now, the construction of the marae is critically important. I told you earlier that everything is telling a story. repeating oral traditions and genealogies. Let's take a look at the construction. Well, notice the backbone. It's called a tohuhu. It's the backbone, and then coming down, you can see ribs. Imagine a backbone and ribs. It's like a living organism, a living culture. Now the ribs come down to the walls. By the way, each of the ribs tells a story, a reminder, a tradition, a genealogy. And here come the carvings that we talked about, each one with a story, a family history, a genealogy, an ancestor. The ancestors are critically important. Now here in the village you will see the Maoris do a haka. This is not a cute dance, it's a deeply significant and spiritual event. And what the haka does is it's calling upon the ancestors to come back and help them in time of need. Originally and anciently it was done before they went to battle. Now it can also be done as an expression of appreciation, but in all cases, calling upon our ancestors, calling upon our family from generations back in time to come to our aid, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. This is the essence of the Maori Marae. Bulavinaka, and welcome to Fiji. Fiji is a collection of 300 islands, 100 of which are inhabited. And on top of that, another 540 islets, an islet being a small island. Fiji is spread over 1 million square miles in the South Seas. So, let's go explore Fiji, Bulavinaka. Of the 100 inhabited islands in Fiji, most of the people live on the main island of Viti-Levu. Now you'll notice something about the construction of homes and buildings. There are some similarities in all of the Polynesian islands, but also some stark differences. One of the unique features here at the Polynesian Cultural Center is right behind me. It's a temple. There are only 2 authentic temples in the world today. One here in Laie at the Polynesian Cultural Center, and the other in Fiji. My travels have taken me all over Polynesia and the South Pacific. I've particularly enjoyed my visits to Fiji. And I kind of have a personal connection to these islands, not only with many friends living there today whose homes I visit when I go to Fiji and they come and stay with us when they come to the States, but my nephew actually lived in Fiji and worked there for a couple of years and developed a great love for these people. I think the Fijians are some of the happiest and friendliest people on earth. Now, I did want to show you this home. This is the chief's house. It's very authentic to some of the chief's house I visited in Fiji. You know, the chief system throughout Polynesia is of critical importance. Rather than running to the federal government, the villages are governed by a chief or a council of chiefs that get together and decide disputes, decide what is fair, and if punishment needs to be meted out, they decide what it would be done, and it's done quickly and swiftly, and then everybody's okay. I want to point out a couple of things about the chief's house. First of all, the kauri shell. You'll only find this particular shell, which is a symbol of honor and respect, in the chief's house or the temple. That's it. Now take a look at the construction and the decoration. Look at these colorful mats. You'll find them throughout the chief's house and throughout Fiji. Take particular note of how the home, which is very typical, is built. You're using tree trunks, lumber from the trees, and look at these hand-woven ropes and twines. This is taken from the coconut husk. The home itself, the house, is built with native elements and is really quite comfortable. Fiji, the chief's house, it's something you want to visit here at the PCC. Aloha and welcome to Hawaii. Now, when most of us think of visiting Hawaii, we generally think of Oahu, Maui, Kauai, and the Big Island. But the Hawaiian Islands is actually a collection of 157 islands and atolls spread across 1,500 miles of the Pacific. There are 8 major islands. I mentioned 4 of them: Oahu, Maui, Kauai, and the Big Island. Add to that Niihau, Koholave, Lanai, and Molokai, and those are the 8 major islands. You can actually visit 6 of them rather easily. Koholave and Niihau, well, that's a little bit more difficult. Let's explore the village. I think Hawaii, this particular village, is one of the favorites of all visitors. Let's have a look. Welcome to the Hawaiian Village. Now, that's probably a little bit of a misnomer because a village implies many families and a group. This area properly in Hawaiian terminology would be kauhale. Now, hale means home or building. It's a kauhale, which means that a multi-generational family lives here. You have mom and dad, the kids, cousins, grandma, grandpa, aunties, and uncles. They all live together. Now, each of the buildings has a specific purpose rather than each family living in a building. For example, in the building right here behind me, Hale Noho, that is a sleeping area. So when it's time to go to sleep, everybody in the family comes to Hale Noho. Next to it is a communal eating area. Now, you can see the different buildings, different functions, and now to your left is the chief's house. As we explained in Fiji and in all the islands, the chief system is critically important. It maintains order and respect in the village. Kauhale in Hawaii. Malolele, and welcome to the friendly islands of Tonga. Now, what's interesting about Tonga, a collection of 170 islands with 4 major islands: Tongatapu, Ha'apai, Vava'u, and Eoa. Tonga remains the last kingdom or monarchy in the South Pacific. We're going to have fun today as we visit Tonga. We're in the Tongan Village here at the PCC. Malolele.
Malolele,
Ko e hohingoa.
ko Melissa.
Oh, ko Leriau. Alu ki fe ahuni.
Ko haʻongawe I he kolotonga I PCC.
Ngawe PCC.
Io.
Io. I just want to introduce you to my friend Melissa. Now, I spoke to her in Tongan, and I greeted her, malolele. She replied back. That's kind of like the Tongan aloha, you know. And then I asked her, what is your name? She said, Melissa. I replied, my name is Larry. And they said, what are you doing today? Where are you going? She said, ngawe is work. I'm working at the PCC. Well, I want to take a look at that Tongan smile. Yeah, look at that. You know, Melissa, why is it that Tonga is known as the Friendly Isles?
Because of the people.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the people in Tonga, especially tourists.
They really, really do. And I think Mea ofa kia te koe is what the Tongan people give to all visitors. It says, this is my gift to you. It's a gift of the heart. It's a gift of love. Now, your family is from Tonga. You're, of course, from Tonga. Your mother from Eoa.
Io.
Io means yes. And your father from Tongatapu.
Io.
You know, I mentioned there's 170 islands in Tonga, 4 major islands. I've been to 3 of them. I've traveled Tonga many times. I've been to Tongatapu, Ha'apai, and Vava'u, which is up in the north. Have you been to Vava'u?
Ikai.
Yeah, Ikai means no. And it's very, very different, whereas Tongatapu is kind of flat. Ha'apai is flat as a pancake. Yes, io, mo'oni, mo'oni,
Mo'oni, mo'oni.
mo'oni. Mo'oni means yes, I'm telling the truth. And but Vava'u has mountains.
Iyo.
Fakaofa, which means it's very beautiful. I haven't been to Iowa. Maybe I'll drop in and see your mother's family.
Iyo. Where was it?
Yeah. Well, here we are. This is a must stop on your PCC village, and do ask for Melissa and the rest of the friendly Tongans. Malo alpito.
Malo apito.
Aloha.
Ofatu.
Ofatu. Yorana. Welcome to Tahiti. You know, I often hear people talk about traveling to the islands of Tahiti. Well, there really is no such thing. Tahiti is a single island in French Polynesia. French Polynesia is a collection of 118 different islands divided into 5 island groups. The Society Islands, the Tuamotus, the Marquesas, the Gambier, and the Austral Islands comprise French Polynesia. You know, there really is something different about Tahiti and French Polynesia. It's a world apart. It's an island of romance and imagination. Let's go explore. During your visit to the Tahiti Village, do stop right here. This is an open-air temple. Now, the name of the temple, Marae, is very similar to what we learned in New Zealand for a meeting house. Marae in Tahitian means temple. What's interesting about this particular temple is every one of these rocks was brought here from Tahiti. It's a sacred place to the Polynesians and Tahitians, the Marae Temple. Food is the essential binding link of family life in Polynesia. Now, you ladies are going to really enjoy this next one because in Polynesia and the South Seas, the men do the cooking. We're here in the Tahiti Village at the Polynesian Cultural Center, and I want to give you a little insight on how cooking is done. In the Samoan Village and at the Luau, I showed you an umu, which is an underground oven where the food is cooked on hot rocks and covered up. It's really done the same way throughout Polynesia. In Tahiti and French Polynesia, it's called yahi ma'a, the underground oven. So what they do is they'll take the coconut husk. Nothing is gone to waste. These are easily ignited. They'll build a fire and put the rocks on top of it. When the rocks get really hot, they'll take typical foods wrapped in banana leaves or other things. It might be fish or pork, yams, sweet potato, taro, or other vegetables. They're wrapped and put right on top of the hot rocks. Then they are covered with coconut palms or banana leaves, and then a mat is put over to seal the heat in. And you know, the men seem to know just the right time to break the oven open. Now, I'll give you a kind of a fun thing, interesting thing about eating family style in Polynesia. The adults, especially the elders, eat first. And by elders, I mean men and women. And I've been in many of my friends' homes in Samoa, Tahiti, Fiji, Tonga, New Zealand. And, you know, particularly as a guest, they bring out the best for their visitors. And all of the food is put in front of you. And then the adults sit and they eat. And the poor kids are over there looking like, please, don't eat it all. Leave some for me. Well, I found in Polynesian homes, there's plenty of food for everyone. But it's kind of fun to watch the kids hoping that something is left for them. Yeah, family life is centered around the umu, the yahi mate, here in Polynesia. As you're enjoying the island villages here at the PCC, be sure to take note of Huki. It's an afternoon performance every day here in the lagoon. Now, it's a story, a pageant of music and dance that tells the tale of the creation of the South Sea Islands. It's the story of a man and a woman who come together in a relationship, bringing different cultures and blending those islands and blending those cultures together. That's really the future of Polynesia. Now, it's only performed once a day, so be sure and check your schedule as you don't want to miss Huki, the story of Polynesia. A fun activity included in your PCC admission ticket is the canoe ride. Now, you can catch these canoes both one-way and round trip. The canoes will sail along the lagoon and take you for viewing of the island villages. And you'll get commentary from one of the local boys. You've enjoyed the villages. You took the canoe ride through the lagoon and topped it all off with a fabulous luau. But now comes the crowning jewel of your visit to the Polynesian Cultural Center, the evening performance of Ha, the Breath of Life. 160 dancers from all of the Polynesian islands. Now let me just put that into perspective. Just 3 nights ago, I attended a luau and evening show at one of the top hotels in Hawaii. It was really a very good show. They had a total of 12 dancers, and they did a good job. Here at the PCC, Ha, the Breath of Life, 160 dancers. There's nothing like it anywhere in Hawaii. It's a must-see on your visit to the island of Oahu, the Polynesian Cultural Center, and Ha, the Breath of Life. When planning your visit to the Polynesian Cultural Center here on the north shore of the island of Oahu, be sure to allow some time for a visit to the Hukilau Marketplace right behind me. Now, the Hukilau Marketplace is a collection of shops, boutiques, full-service restaurants, apparel, and my favorite are the food trucks right behind me. Now, the PCC opens right after lunch, early afternoon, but the Hukilau Marketplace is open in the morning. I came over here for breakfast just today. It's a fun place. You can get a lot of your shopping done. Now, I said it's convenient to the Polynesian Cultural Center. Well, just how convenient? It's right on the Polynesian Cultural Center. So you have them all right there together. Hukilau Marketplace, a lot of fun on your visit to the North Shore. You know this, hang loose. Aloha, welcome to Hawaii. This friendly gesture is seen throughout the islands. Now, let me tell you the story behind hang loose. First, meet my friend Kamana Kalili, born in 1882 and passed away in 1958. While working at a sugar mill plantation factory, he lost these 3 fingers. And he also, so waving to people came like this. He also signaled to the keiki, which are the children, when the train would be leaving. So he had waved to them to come over and wave to passerby. Well, people didn't know about the missing fingers, so they adopted this as hang loose. Aloha, welcome to Hawaii. What was really interesting is he also led his church choir like this, and they got used to it, and the symbol has spread worldwide as a gesture of friendship in the islands of Hawaii. Well, it's been quite a day, hasn't it, here at the Polynesian Cultural Center. Let's just review the South Seas that we visited today. Samoa, talofa is their native greeting. Aotearoa, land of the long white cloud, New Zealand, kia ora. To Fiji, Bulavinaka, the islands of Fiji. Then you can see all of the PCC that we have visited today. You can also see a triangle of the islands of Polynesia. And of course, here in Hawaii, aloha. Tahiti and French Polynesia in the Marquesas Islands, Yorana. And the greeting in the friendly islands of Tonga, Maloelele. Well, on your visit here to Hawaii, make sure that you include a full day, maybe two, at the Polynesian Cultural Center. The Polynesian Cultural Center, no ka'oi. Yes, the Polynesian Cultural Center really is the best. I hope you've enjoyed your visit here to the PCC as much as I'm enjoying actually being here. Whether it's your first visit or a return visit, it's something you just don't want to miss. And I consider it one of the best values in all of Hawaii. Now, when making your reservations here at the PCC or throughout Hawaii, I recommend that you use the services of a professional travel advisor. And of course, you're always welcome to contact us at Columbus Travel. Links to Columbus Travel are included in the descriptions below. And if you're new to my travel channel, you remember the big three? I told you earlier, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and please give me a thumbs up. And for the best travel deals on the planet, give us a call at Columbus Travel, 800-373-3328, or online at columbusvacations.com. Stay healthy, stay safe, happy traveling. Aloha.